Episode 6 of the test may have just delivered the most important reveal of the entire season. For years, Aunt Lydia has been one of the most feared women in Gilead, cold, disciplined, terrifying, and seemingly loyal to the regime no matter the cost. But this episode changes everything, because for the first time we finally see how Lydia was created, not born. And at the center of that backstory is one shocking possibility fans cannot stop talking about. Is Aunt Vidala actually Vivien, Lydia's old friend from before Gilead? If that theory is true, then their present-day tension is far deeper than jealousy or politics. It would mean these two women share trauma, betrayal, survival guilt, and a secret that could destroy everything. Let's break down the flashbacks, the hidden clues, Agnes's future, Commander Judd's dark next move, and what Episode 6 is really trying to tell us. Aunt Lydia's origin story begins. This episode was not just another recap chapter. It was an origin story. Until now, Aunt Lydia has mostly been seen as an authority figure, a woman who punishes others, enforces rules, and protects Gilead's system. But Episode 6 reminds viewers that before all of that, Lydia was just a teacher. She worked in a school. She taught children. She lived in the old world. That contrast matters because the writers are asking a difficult question. Did Lydia always have cruelty inside her, or did Gilead train her to weaponize survival? That's what makes this episode so powerful. It doesn't excuse Lydia's actions, but it does explain how fear can transform ordinary people into something unrecognizable. And that is one of the oldest themes in the Handmaid's Tale universe. The school raid was one of the scariest scenes so far. One of the most disturbing moments happens when armed men suddenly arrive at Lydia's school. There is no warning, no public announcement, no courtroom, no debate, just force. The male teacher is immediately separated from the women. That detail was intentional. The show is demonstrating how power structures were rewritten in seconds. Men and women were no longer equal citizens. Everyone had already been assigned a new value. Phones are confiscated, jewelry is taken, freedom disappears almost instantly. Then the women are transferred to a stadium. This sequence is terrifying because it feels realistic. History has shown many authoritarian systems rise exactly this way. Confusion, public containment, humiliation, random punishment, fear. And the scariest truth is this: most people don't realize society has collapsed until they are already trapped inside the new version of it. That's exactly what happened here. The stadium symbolizes the death of the old world. Once Lydia and the others arrive at the stadium, the atmosphere changes completely. This is no longer temporary detention. This is processing. Pregnant women are separated. Others are judged. Executions happen publicly. Bread and water are distributed like prison rations. The stadium is symbolic. A place once built for entertainment, celebration, and crowds has now become a machine of control. That transformation mirrors what Gilead does to all institutions. Schools become indoctrination centers. Marriage becomes ownership. Religion becomes law. Motherhood becomes state labor. And public spaces become fear zones. Lydia understands quickly that resistance in that moment is almost impossible. So she does something that becomes her defining trait for years to come. She adapts. Vivien and Lydia's friendship changes everything. One of the most important revelations in Episode 6 is Lydia's connection to Vivien. They were colleagues before Gilead. They knew each other in the old world. They survived the early collapse together. And unlike many characters in this universe, they shared genuine human connection during chaos. That matters because Lydia's story has often lacked emotional equals. Most people either feared her or obeyed her. But Vivien knew Lydia before the title, before the robes, before the cruelty. She knew the original version of her. That means Vivien carries something dangerous, truth. And in Gilead, truth is always dangerous. Is Vivien really Aunt Vidala? The episode strongly suggests that Vivien later becomes Aunt Vidala. It may not be stated in giant, bold letters yet, but the clues are everywhere. First, Vidala and Lydia's relationship feels deeply personal. Their arguments are tense in a way normal workplace rivalry would not explain. Second, there is emotional restraint between them. Neither woman openly discusses the past. That silence often means unresolved trauma. Third, Vidala seems to understand Lydia in ways others do not. She reacts to her decisions almost like someone who knows what Lydia is capable of beneath the surface. If Vivien truly became Vidala, then the show has quietly introduced one of the most tragic relationships in the series. Two women who survived together then became tools of the regime in completely different ways. The gun scene. Created Aunt Lydia, then comes the episode's most shocking moment. Commander Judd places a gun in Lydia's hand. Standing in front of her is Vivien. This was not simply an execution order, it was a psychological ritual. Judd wanted to know whether Lydia valued personal loyalty or obedience to power. Would she choose friendship or survival? Lydia pulls the trigger. That single action changes everything. Even if the gun was unloaded, even if Judd never intended to kill Vivien, Lydia still made the choice, and sometimes the decision matters more than the outcome. This is the moment the old Lydia dies. Not physically, morally. She learns that in Gilead, survival may require becoming someone you hate. That inner fracture likely explains why she later becomes so severe. People who carry guilt often become obsessed with discipline, rules, and control, because control feels safer than conscience. Why did Judd spare Vivien? This may be one of the biggest unanswered questions. Why keep Vivien alive? There are several possibilities. Theory 1, Judd needed more female enforcers. Lydia could not build the women's system alone. The regime needed more educated women to control other women. Vivien may have been selected for usefulness. Theory 2, divide and rule. If Vivien knows Lydia chose survival over friendship, then Judd created permanent distrust between them. That prevents alliance. A divided leadership is easier to control. Theory 3, Vivien passed her own test. Maybe Vivien reacted in a way Judd admired. Calmness, submission, intelligence, faith performance. If so, she wasn't spared by luck. She earned a place. And that possibility makes Vidala much more dangerous than viewers realize. Does Vidala hate Lydia? This is where the story gets fascinating. Vidala's energy around Lydia feels complicated. Sometimes resentful, sometimes cautious, sometimes almost protective. That suggests multiple layers. She may hate Lydia for pulling the trigger, even if she understands why it happened. She may envy Lydia's power. She may want Lydia removed, or she may secretly know Lydia is changing and is testing whether she can still trust her. Their silence is the key clue. People who truly mean nothing to each other speak casually. People carrying deep wounds often say very little. Agnes, Hannah, and the marriage system. The marriage storyline becomes more important in episode 6. The girls are being matched with suitors. Choices are made based on rank, politics, fertility, family image, and usefulness. Not love, not compatibility, not happiness. And Agnes is at the center of it. The show continues, confirming what longtime fans already know. Agnes is Hannah, June's first daughter. That identity still matters, even if hidden, because bloodlines matter in Gilead. Reputation matters. Connections matter. If Agnes's origins become politically inconvenient, it could affect her future. That's why the aunts discuss her carefully. Agnes choosing Garth is quiet rebellion. Agnes asks for Garth to be considered. That might sound small, but in Gilead, preference itself is rebellion. Women are not supposed to choose. They are supposed to accept. So Agnes expressing desire shows courage. It also shows she still possesses an inner self the system has not erased. And Lydia agreeing to consider Garth may reveal something major. She could simply be showing kindness, but there may be a deeper motive. If Lydia suspects Garth has Mayday ties, then pairing Agnes with him could be strategic. It would place June's daughter near someone connected to resistance. That is not random. That is chess. Commander Judd is becoming more dangerous. Penny's miscarriage deeply affects Judd, but not in a healthy emotional sense. He sees children as legacy, duty, status, and proof of masculine success. So losing that child threatens his identity. Men like Judd often become most dangerous when humiliated or denied control. He rejects the idea of using a handmaid for now, but that refusal may come from pride, not compassion. And pride can turn quickly. If Penny cannot provide the future he wants, she may become disposable. That would fit the brutal logic of Gilead. Never underestimate wounded, powerful men. They often become the architects of cruelty. Lydia's secret writing could destroy Gilead. One subtle but massive detail is Lydia documenting names and events. Women writing in Gilead is rare power. Records matter, memory matters, documentation matters. Why? Because tyrannies survive through erased truth. If Lydia is recording crimes, alliances, corruption, and hypocrisy, then she may already be preparing for a future reckoning. This could be the beginning of the archive that eventually turns knowledge into resistance. And if that's true, episode 6 quietly showed the moment Lydia stopped being only an enforcer and started becoming a strategist.